Is your team not performing well? Is morale low and turnover high? Are you falling further behind the competition? I'm here to help. I'm your host, Shani, and this is the LeaderShift Show, where business strategy and culture finally meet, and we make the long-awaited shift from rhetoric to results. I promise I'm not your typical boring leadership consultant, and I will help you get your shift together. Let's do this. Hello, LeaderShifters. Welcome to the LeaderShift Show. Today is an incredibly special episode of the LeaderShift Show because I have the unbelievable privilege of introducing you guys today to one of my best friends in the entire world. Jae Wu, this is the LeaderShift universe. LeaderShifters, this is Jae Wu.
Oh, thanks for having me, Shani. And gosh, you're just an incredible inspiration of what you've accomplished with your life. And I am grateful to be a part of it right now.
Thank you. Let me tell you guys a little bit about Jae before we start our Q&A. Jae and I met almost immediately when I moved to Los Angeles. I bolted from New York in 2000, left Goldman Sachs and made my way. I beelined out to Los Angeles just for a lot of different reasons. And one of the first people I met was Jae. We were at a football party. A guy that I worked with was at the time roommates with Jae's boyfriend, now husband. And we hit it off immediately. We were like soul sisters. And Jae was one of the most friendly, outgoing, welcoming people I had ever met. Not just in LA, where people aren't necessarily known for being that way, but really anywhere. And we became fast friends. Literally within days, she invited me to her weekly Sex and the City party where she had a bunch of people over to her condo, food and great wine and great conversation. And it made my getting settled in LA just so smooth. And all these years later, we have remained great friends. But that's not why I'm having her on the show, folks. Jae is also an incredible example of a leader shifter. She has shifted so many times in her life and so just impactfully and gracefully and intentionally I'm going to ask her all these questions, but literally from the time she picked up at, 20 years old and moved across country from Maryland to LA in a U-Haul van with just a few bucks in her pocket to buying and revitalizing an old real estate brand on the west side of LA that is kicking ass and taking names. We're going to hear all about Jae's journey today on the LeaderShift Show. So let's get started.
Woohoo! Wow, you summarized that so perfectly, Shani. You have an incredibly succinct mind, and
thanks.
Just hearing you talk, it just blows me away.
Oh, thanks, babe. All right, so I've, in very summary fashion, told them about your journey, but let's get a little more detail. Tell us about how you went from this little girl growing up in a small town in Maryland and to an entrepreneur who is changing the face of real estate, which is one of the most cutthroat industries on the planet, on the west side of LA, which I would argue is probably one of the most cutthroat cities on the planet.
True. However, I do believe the good guys get to win. I believe that by having worked on my inner self, the outer world is a reflection of my inner self. And I think that by doing what's right by people, and it's about what's right, not who's right, we can really create a nurturing, supportive industry. And it's not about me, mine, more about how can we give and give enough so that we can provide just a really outrageous experience and not just about taking and having it be transactional. We want a raving fan, client for life business, and it's not about just what can I get out of this transaction. But I think that it goes really back to childhood. I'm the firstborn. I'm the firstborn of my generation. So my father's one of 8. I was his first kid, and I had all younger sisters and cousins, and I was a matriarch of the family and a natural born caretaker. And my duty and responsibility since birth is to be the provider and nurturer and caretaker. And And either we acclimate to what was kind of given to us as our role, or we shun it. And I shunned it at some moments of my life, you know, teenage years, etc. But what I've learned is growing up is I'm grateful to have this role because it suits me perfectly. It gives me such a meaning of significance with my life, caring about, giving to others, thinking about others, serving others gives me the greatest gift of living my life, which is truly, it's not about me. It's about serving others. And the more I'm in that role of service and making a difference and impacting and taking the knowledge and life skills and experiences I've had to go through in my life, and helping others and being that guide and that passageway for them to achieve one of the greatest, most stressful, financially impactful decisions in their life. I think I was born to be this leader and this guide for not only my company, but for my clients and my community. So.
Yeah. So how did you get there? Like, so you moved to LA, you know,
2,700 miles. Yeah. I drove 900 miles a day over 3 days. You know, my girlfriend even said, you don't even know where Los Angeles is. I said, I've never left the East Coast. And so I said, I opened up an atlas and I said, look, I went from Maryland to Florida, and I was in Orlando at the time when I made this decision. I'd left college and went to Orlando, and I opened up the map. I said, look, the 10 freeway will take me right to Los Angeles. It exits right there at La Brea, and I will be in Los Angeles. And she says, you're crazy. And I said, well, I have $200 cash. I have a credit card to charge the gas. I have my entire life possessions in a U-Haul. And I drove across. The thing is that my father and I battled a lot when I was growing up. I mean, culturally, I was raised to be quiet, submissive, do as you're told. And I just never fit that role. You know me pretty well, Shane. You know, I'm like, oh yeah? I don't think so. That is not my favorite life. And I always had a mind of my own. I was always a black sheep. And I felt like there was more to life than what I had experienced up to that point.
Yeah.
Even in Eastern Shore, Maryland, Orlando, Florida, going to college for chemical engineering. First one to go to college, first one to quit. So, you know, here I am trying to figure out where is my future, where am I supposed to go? And I'm very fortunate that I just listened to my path. I didn't make any decisions except to say yes. If something just felt right in my gut, I just said yes. I was open to the experiences, open to where life was going to take me. I had deep trust in the universal messages of where I was meant to be. And so I didn't read too much into things. I just said yes. Like when I met you, I'm like, yes, of course. We drive the same car and blah, blah, blah. Food, booze, you name it. Like we love all the same stuff, yoga, hiking, physical activity. Like, yes, of course. Let's hang out. It's awesome.
Totally.
And I think so many people close themselves off to the opportunities that may be right there in front of them. And my entire life since I left home was, I'm just going to say yes and see what's there and explore what the experiences are and not be pigeonholed into some fear or whatever, like your mind can go. I never let my mind go there. I just felt my way through. I just listened to what was happening. I just felt like, this feels right. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to second guess myself or overthink things. I'm just going to pack up my car, go across the country. I was meant to be here. For some reason, I just innately felt that. I moved to Los Angeles. I always say I never fell in love with the guy I moved here for, but I fell in love with the city of Los Angeles, and it really is my first love. I've never loved any place as much as I do Los Angeles. And I have the most amazing life. I'm going to be celebrating a 15-year anniversary with my husband. I met him back in 1996. That was a long time ago.
Playing volleyball.
Yeah, exactly. 2 beautiful kids.
Bump, set, spike, I do.
You're so clever. You're so witty. And fortunately to meet him, playing a hobby that I really enjoy, and then to produce 2 beautiful boys out of that as well. I'm very fortunate, but it's that willingness to be open to what's there and not being closed off and just being open to it, I think is what just, it's like that bouncing feather that kind of floats in the wind, but it just follows along the destination. I kind of feel like when I really look back at how I got here, I look from, I had the resistance of not believing that what I was, my parents who were supposed to be my teachers, that wasn't my teaching from them, was to not listen to them, and to
Thank God.
Yeah, thank God, right? And God bless my mom. I mean, she passed a couple years ago, and she did her very best. But they only knew to have me become what they thought stereotypically what a girl was supposed to be. But I thought the opposite. I was like, how great can a girl be? How much can I do? I physically can be just as strong as a boy. I can be as smart as a boy. I can outdo and out-task and outwork and outthink any guy. So here I am. I mean, I just never said I can't do it. I always said I can do it. I can figure it out. There's a way that can be done. Yeah. And one of the cool things that happened was birthing my kids. It created this, the female energy. I was very male energy, I think, before I had my kids, and the female energy of birthing my children, and now having the heart, the Grinch's heart goes from this to 40 times its size. And when my son was put on my chest after he was born, and I looked down, I remember thinking, wow, I could feel like all the love and the need and of the world just really kind of hit me all at once. It was the most surreal experience. I still remember it, and I get teary thinking about it, because it was so impactful to me. It was like, I also, by giving birth to him, I birthed as this mega mom, this mother of the universe, mother of not just my son, but mother of caring for my community, my friends, anybody that was in my reign, is to just care for them. And that just became, I embraced that nurturing to a whole nother level. And it's hard to explain how that came to be, but
yeah,
workaholic side and this discipline and organized side, and then added in this whole component of how can I just love on you? How can I just care for you? How can I really impact your life in a deep, meaningful way?
Yeah. So let's build on that and go back to, you said yes, among other things, to the real estate business in general. You started your career as a top producing mortgage broker in Los Angeles. And let's fast forward to the time where you saw the changes coming in the market, and you shifted and pivoted more into the real estate space. I know the audience is going to be really interested to hear how you found the Hilar opportunity. What made you decide to go for it? And then I have some other questions once you've explained about what Hilar is, about what I have a bunch of other questions about what you've accomplished specifically. But let's hear the Hilar story. Speaking of birthing, how did you rebirth Heyler Realty?
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm grateful, because in life, it's about great partnerships. And I never really understood that until I met my husband, who is really an amazing life partner, friend, and also just an amazing father to our children. And having had that long-term relationship also taught me as well in business. I met my business partner, Sean, 13 years ago. The year that I gave birth to my son is when we became business partners. Actually, we had known each other well before then. Back in 2002 is when I first met him. And what is amazing is the female combined with a very supportive male creates like this great yin and yang balance in life as well as in business. Yes. And not saying it's always the case. It's got to be the right female with the right male. I'm a very alpha, dominant, strong woman, and I'm fortunate to have both my husband as well as my business partner be these supporting, loving, not egoless, like not filled with this alpha male kind of energy, but more so of this like, you go girl, you do it, you do you, and I'm here to facilitate and support, the whirlwind of activity that you generate in your path. And
right, because they have the confidence that it's not the false bravado of ego, it's the actual real, like, I'm so good, I'm so comfortable in my own skin that I don't need to battle this alpha female.
Correct, exactly. And having the respect for that though, too,
Yeah.
you know, and I love them both and respect them even that much greater because I recognize in them the pure, honest, just, you know what, you're great, you're doing you, I'm going to support what you're doing, and hand in hand in partnership of it all. It's not like one dominating the other or whatever. It's like this congruency. It's hard to explain that we have, and it makes it all flow so well.
Mhm.
Sean and I were both in the mortgage business. We partnered up together when we were both at a firm in Santa Monica, and that firm imploded. It was right in the high boom of the real estate boom, 2005, 06. 08, of course, financial crisis and the market crash.
Yep.
And at that time, I'd already had my broker's license for 7 years. I didn't want to just be an associate. My goal always is to be ahead of the curve, and also to be able to help facilitate where people needed my help too, and not be the person who ever have to say no.
Go big or go home. You're not the associate broker.
Exactly.
You're the mama broker.
Exactly. Unfortunately, since I had already had a 7-year leeway into having my broker's license, and at that time we had a leg in with Keller Williams and a leg in with the mortgage side, so I was dual licensed because with the brokers you can do both. But then when we were there and this opportunity came along, and the third owner of Heyler Realty, and she had started out in the 60s as a secretary, was the third owner of this company, and she was pretty much like the candle in the wind because the 80s was the heyday of Heyler Realty. That's when they had 80, 90 agents. They were pretty much the dominant. But then Fred Sands, John Douglas, came into the story, and, as ownerships change, leaderships change, and then, of course, a company that doesn't have the dynamic leadership does start to falter. And that's kind of what happened. But Sean, my business partner's uncle, had worked at Heyler Realty from the 60s to the mid-90s before he passed with cancer. And the beauty is there was such a family dynamic. Sean grew up in this environment. And since he was a wee baby, he remembers the receptionist who was then the owner running the office when his uncle worked here. And his dad was the manager for the John Douglas company in the Pacific Palisades. So it was such a cloud of real estate in his life. And fortunately for us, I already had the licensure. He already had the family connection, and we had an opportunity to be the fourth owners and purchase this. And we immediately knew we could do something different. And that shift for us was to be community. For us, everything was about we live here, we're stakeholders here, we're raising our kids here. How can we build Mayberry in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
How can
Tell
we
us some of the ways that you've done that, because I mean, just every time I visit, there's like you're raffling off a Heyler Beach Cruiser, or I see you on social media, and you've got voting happening at your offices. So give us a sense of some of the actions that you and Sean have taken to really differentiate Heyler as a community firm, as opposed to like this big production branch of an enormous organization.
Sure. Well, one of the key things about technology these days, it levels the playing field. Whether you're a boutique office or a big firm, it doesn't matter, because technology makes it so that every property, every client has access to everything. There isn't any more of this cloak and dagger of, I got a special list and so forth. It's not the case anymore.
Yeah.
It's level the playing field. And now that David and Goliath have been even killed, the other thing that we can do is take our passion for where we live, where we own our homes, where we own our business, and we got involved with the neighborhood council. And the city of Los Angeles is run differently than other cities. The mayor and the council offices have 50-50 power within the city of LA. The mayor doesn't have 100% power, and actually it's a councilman, and there's a makeup of a large body of councilmen that make up the 97 neighborhoods that exist in the city of LA.
Wow, 97 neighborhoods.
Yes, it's 8.9 million people. Yeah. And the way that you can have unity with such a large area to cover is to have neighborhood councils. Now that is a volunteer position. We volunteered to be one of the 17 board members for our West Side Neighborhood Council. And by being involved in a civic manner is one of the key ways we've been able to have outreach with the community and to really make a difference, have a voice, vote on the issues that have, you know, meaning to us as homeowners, as well as a business owner in the neighborhood, being the voice for the business seats in this neighborhood. So, and then being a part of the civically engaging activities that's going on in the neighborhood, and, you know, homeless issues, and having the community festivals to celebrate and create Mayberry here. It is the whole reason why we feel so empowered to be a part of it. But even before we joined the neighborhood council, we had our chili cook-off in the late winter, early spring, where we had the chief of our fire department compete with 5 or 6 different restaurants to have a chili contest. And we had a few hundred people come through the office and have a tasting, and just a meeting grounds for neighbors to connect. And then we also have our fall festival where kids get a free pumpkin, and we have a laptop giveaway. We give it away a MacBook every year, donated by one of our business companies that are on the street, and free food and grilling and barbecuing and having just good old fashioned fun. And these are the memories I want my kids to grow up with. And these are the memories, it seems, that our neighbors want to grow up with. And so it's been wildly popular. And I think giving people what I think we innately want, and they want too. So it's been a wonderful congruency that way.
Yeah. So what it sounds like, I talk all the time about merging business strategy and culture, and for you and Sean, it's not just the culture of who Heyler is, it's how you're also influencing the culture of the neighborhoods in which you do business, which is so cool. I think people are craving a return to that. The world's has lost intimacy, because that's the other part of technology. Yes, there's been a democratization, which is amazing, and then the flip side is, we've become so disconnected from other people. You're bringing community back, and it's just so beautiful. So I guess what I want to know, and I'm sure some other people listening to the podcast would want to know, is as you grow, because you went from just you and Sean and probably an assistant to how many brokers you have working for you now?
We have 8 agents right now.
Yeah, and how do you pick people to join Heyler that you're confident are aligned with the same values and not just some
salesperson?
Yes.
Well, I think that the process is pretty easy. I think that when these agents have gone and visited other firms and interviewed with them, and then they interview with us, it is you either are our peoples or you're not our peoples. And it's pretty easy to discern. If caring for others and being of significance and having mentorship from leaders who really care about what happens to them, to the point where we're like, Sean and I are the mother and father of our agents, really, in terms of caring for them. Are you okay? How can we be a part of every integral part of the transaction? It's very uniquely different. We provide really deep psychological care. I mean, this is a very mental business. And I think any in leadership has to have a very strong mental capacity to help people talk through their own fears and worries, because no matter who you are or where you are, every human being has fears and worries. It's our survival instinct, right? To have fear and worry in order to survive from the primal days. And so in today's day and age, to find joy and love and connectedness is not something everybody gets access to. And I think that the agents that crave that, never had that before, have seen other places, is much more of a churn and burn kind of shop. Whereas here, you be you, and we're here to provide and help you grow, nurture, and expand who that version of you is. And no attachment to the outcome. And that's the other thing about truly being in a leadership as well as in a business, where the outcome is not as important as a journey of what you're about to take. And whether it's purchasing a home or selling a home, great. We get, you're going to do it. It may or may not happen for you, but that's okay. We're here to be a part of the journey. And same thing with an agent. You know, you don't have to be a multi-mega producer this year, but if that's your goal, we're going to help you get there.
Yeah.
If you want to just connect and be there to help those that really could use your help, we're here to be your partnership in that as well. So again, not being attached to the outcome, being fully present. I know I do a lot of inner work to be prepared to rule the world one day, hopefully, and really make an impact. You know, I want to. I think that your book, Shani, and also seeing the impact you're having as a consultant and being really helping shift people's mind as to where they are and help guide them to where they could be in their potential. I love that journey because I too find that as I've gone through all of the work that I've done and in the nonstop learning and trying to be a part of the change I wish to see, I think female leadership is one of those things that is just bubbling to the surface. We've only just begun. And yes. I really love the impact that we are having on the future generation of strong-minded young women who can also take on this role and say, I can, I will, I am, you know, and I love that. And I love seeing more of that. And I love the girl power. So, sorry guys, but I do love that.
So let me play devil's advocate for a second. What do you say to the people who say, that sounds great in theory, but there are a bunch of competitors that don't behave that way, right? That will stab you in the back and smile at your face. How do you stay in integrity when other people in your industry don't play by the same rules, so to speak?
Yeah, I have to tell you that if you stay in integrity and do the right things for the right reasons, and again, not being attached to the outcome, see, the money is just a pass-through, right? Mm-hmm. Money's always going to be there. How it comes to you and how it evolves, I choose to not be attached to that outcome. I choose to believe that by doing all the right things for all the right reasons, good things happen. The fact of the matter is, you know, the day we're born, the dash, into the day we die, that dash, that's it. And how integrous and how good and how well we live and serve in that dash is
the dash, yeah.
What my memory, what I'm going to be known for. And I know how, and you know how short life is. You know, I lost my youngest sister 17 years ago, you know, back in, and it's having gone through a loss of a family member or someone you love so much, and then to have the realization, all this, it could be gone in a millisecond. So not being so attached to I know what's important in life. I know my family is important. My friendships are important. My health is important. You know, caring for those that need my help are important. The money comes and goes. It's a pass-through. The more of it we have, the more of it we can do to benefit others. The more of it we can do to do our community work. The more of it we can do to make fun things happen. That's what it's great for, to live and have the freedom to make choices. Absolutely. I'm not discounting that part of it. That is a pass-through that creates opportunities for so many things that we wish to try to accomplish in the world to happen. Absolutely. But my decisions are not tied to it. That is not the end-all be-all of how sometimes it sucks. Sometimes you lose. Sometimes you win. Most of the time I win, though, because I think integrity, being right, doing your research, knowing what you're talking about, and doing the right things, and, you know, the outcome of the right process does come through. And people may call me Pollyanna, but I have lived in that for 23 years of being in business. And I truly have, and the benefit of, I started in this town with minus probably 6,000 in credit card debt. I knew nobody and nothing when I moved here, and I'm having the time of my life. And I think that just being so, filled with gratitude, doing the work. It's not like I'm not doing the hard work. I do the hard work every single day. Not many people get up at 4:45 in the morning to go work out before the kids wake up. So then be back home and start the whole schedule and make sure that my list the night before is all checked off and do it again the next day. But have that devotion and dedication to be prepared, be organized, be physically strong, to have the sustenance to be able to carry on the workload, manually, physical labor as well as mental labor that happens to care for the world. And I do that because I genuinely know, God forbid something happens to me, that I made a difference. I made a big, big difference.
Yep. And, you know, I let's pause on that for a second, because I really believe that it's one of the reasons that you and I bonded so well. You just referenced losing your little sister, and that happened shortly after I moved to LA, like within the first year that I was living in LA. And as you know, and as a lot of leadershifters know, and anyone who's read the Better Boss Blueprint knows, I moved to LA after a couple of hellacious years. Really, the hell was in my mind. After my fiance Alan died, and that had such a profound influence on me. And then your sister, brutal murder, like horrific, like brings chills to my spine to even think about it. And we don't, neither of us let that dampen our spirit. You know, and I think when people hear stories like ours, they say, well, do you need a big fucking tragedy like that to wake up and pay more attention to the dash?
No.
What do you say to that?
I don't think so. It definitely was a wake-up call. It definitely sucks to go through it. And like any major thing, like marriage, like divorce, like birthing children, like becoming an empty nester, like leaving the home as a young adult, there are all of those big moments in life. Mm-hmm. We all can choose how we respond to it, right? And the way you chose was, okay, my life journey, I'm going to listen to what my life journey is supposed to be. And you were meant to write a book. You said that from one of the first moments I met you. You were meant to write a book about your story. For me, losing my sister, and I was never a flippant person. I deeply had a sense of my mortality, but losing her also was a wake-up call to the fact that, wow, I'm very young. I was 31. She was 18. There is still so much to accomplish in the world. It may have sped up my drive to fulfill each day even greater than I ever could think possible. Maybe it was not taking a day for granted, a moment for granted. And no, I don't think it takes a big life thing, but I think what it does is it kind of sinks you a little bit to a different path in your emotion and level of empathy and deep feeling for another. I think someone who has never lost someone can truly understand that level of loss, unless you've gone through it. If you've never lost a parent or you know, someone close to you, and look at all the things that are going on in the world. I mean, these kids at a very young age are going through some pretty traumatic experiences and images with, you know, all the mass shootings and so forth, and that's going to forever change them, right? And so maybe this world that has become so separated and detached, by having these traumatic life experiences firsthand, is going to create a future leadership generation of young adults that can maybe have that deep sense of feeling and purpose and meaning, and that their life was altered a little bit with that incident and hopefully people have that insight to think, okay, this happened, and it could be any kind of a loss or any kind of victory, and say, okay, this happened. How can I have gratitude around this? And how has this altered me a little bit towards who I'm becoming, how we're evolving? Because as humans, that's our ability, unlike other species, to adapt and evolve and hopefully grow and learn and not plateau into the doldrum of Groundhog Day, but hopefully
Oh God.
take us
Yeah,
alive.
so well. I love that visual, the doldrums of Groundhog Day. Oh, I know that's like my worst nightmare is Groundhog's Day. Like, I can't stand when things are the same. I love adventure and newness and creation, and think that's one of the many places that we share such passion. And it's been so amazing to hear you tell your story and to share your pearls of wisdom with the LeaderShifter audience. I mean, folks, like, I wrote down just a few things here, but it's not about what's right. Sorry, it's not about who's right. It's about what's right. I mean, what a motto. Like, I'm going to use that. It's not about who's right. It's about what's right. And the idea of saying yes. LeaderShifters, what is a shift you know you want to make? And there are some things you haven't said yes to. Say yes. What's holding you back, right? Move across the country, take risks, buy a company whose brand is, dusty, right? Do something to make a difference. Find great partners. That's another lovely piece of the story, not just your husband, but your business partner. And there is no perfect partner. You got to find one that complements you. And it sounds like the partnership that you and Sean have built has just been exactly the right one to build Hilar up to be making the difference that it's making, so that the dash between 19 blah, 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 and whatever the year is for Jae Wu is going to be amazing. So thank you so much for joining us today. It was great to see your beautiful face.
Oh, thanks, Jamie.
And LeaderShifters, again, thank you for joining us today. I hope you found all of these stories inspiring, and that you'll take away some easy, maybe not easy, but some great ways that you can start to make some shifts in the culture of your business and the culture of your community, so that you're creating the strategy for your life and your organization that you want. Please let us know what your thoughts are. Shani at theleadershiftproject.com, or of course, hit us up on social media. Thank you so much to Jay and to everyone else. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone. Mwah.